Hey nerds, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be talking about the Shrek franchise. But before we get into that, I just want to thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it. Now let's get into this. This video is long overdue. I know I've been gone for a minute, but I'm back now. Okay. If you're new on the channel, hi, how are you? Welcome. One thing you should know about me is that I absolutely love Shrek, as many people do, and it is just a very important piece in my life, and I was like, why not make a video talking about how much I love the franchise. So I am going to cover all 4 major movies in the franchise, okay? Chronological order, and I'm going to dissect those sections into 3 categories: the characters, the message, and the soundtracks. The most important things in the movies, if you will. So let's jump right in and let's start with the original. Let's start with Shrek. I'm not going to spend too much time on the plots for any of these movies because I feel like everyone has seen one of these movies at least once. So let's start with our main character, Shrek. Something that I've always admired about Shrek is that he is imperfect. And traditionally, ogres are usually some type of a boss or obstacle that needs to be conquered. Having said that, we see how other people and other creatures' prejudice mindsets jump out onto Shrek, and that kind of, you know, makes him who he is. Shrek has leaned into all of the preconceived notions of what an ogre is. And we can clearly see that this affects his attitude and his outlook on life. I believe at one point he even said, "I'm a terrifying ogre" to Donkey at some point in the movie. I could be paraphrasing. Shrek has been isolated and excluded for so long that he's found peace and comfort in being alone. And it never actually occurred to him that someone might enjoy his company and want to be around him. And when Shrek says ogres are like onions, we have layers, I think he was trying to say that there's more to me that meets the eye than your, you know, stereotypical scary ogre. Let's not sit here and act like this is not a complex character. I don't care if this is a cartoon. Moving on to Donkey, I just want to say this. I will love Donkey forever and always. Donkey is the friend we all need in life. And I would say the best quality about him is the ability to find the bright side in any situation. For instance, Donkey saw the good in Shrek from the first moment that they met. And he is such a loyal friend to both Shrek and Fiona. We see the self-loathing in Shrek, and Donkey always found something nice to compliment him on. And when Donkey found out about Fiona's curse, that man was so supportive. He was like, "Girl, you are the same amazing woman. You just look a little different at night, that's all." Now from this movie alone, we don't know much about Donkey's past. All we know is that it wasn't very good. I think the reason why Donkey is so compassionate is because he didn't get a lot of compassion from wherever he was from. He knows how it feels to be put down and discouraged, so that just kind of makes him a softie. We love Donkey! Moving on to Fiona. Are you there, God? It's me, Fiona. It's me, Fiona. Now I know. I'm sorry, I had to. I'll put this down now. Moving on. Let's just recap Fiona's life, shall we? Your mama and your daddy say you gotta go away for a while. And you're thinking, oh great, I get to go to boarding school. Fun. Whole time, they plan on sticking you in a deserted castle in the butt guarded by a dragon. And on top of all that, you're cursed. So now you have to spend the rest of your days in this tower waiting for some musty ass knight to give you true love's kiss and rescue you from the dragon's keep. Yeah, Fiona had it rough. And all that to say, I do appreciate Fiona's development following those events. She had this expectation of how her life was supposed to be. I mean, they wrote a book about it for Christ's sakes. It was in the prophecy. And then here comes Shrek to rescue her. And she wasn't exactly the sweetest to him upon first meeting. I mean, neither was he. He didn't even want to be there. But Fiona eventually looks past all the superficial stuff that she's been dreaming of most of her life. In the beginning stages of their developing romance, I think the reason why Fiona fell in love with Shrek is because she felt confident and safe enough to be herself. In her human form, that is. Let me be clear on that. And you want to know what always killed me, like with Fiona? When Donkey found out about the curse, Fiona was so worried that Shrek was going to look at her different and treat her different. And I'm like, darling, sweetie, honey child, you had the compassion for him and he's hated by everyone. He can damn sure find the compassion for you. And he is the last person to judge anyone. So, girl, why are we worried so much? Overall, pretty damn deep and complex for some cartoon characters. As far as the message goes for this movie, like the overarching theme, it's what's on the inside that counts. And don't judge a book by its cover. I know that's very simplistic and cliche, but it doesn't hide the fact that that is the truth. That is the message. And I don't want to beat a dead horse because I kind of explained, you know, the reality of that message through these characters. So there you go. Anyhow, these are good messages to live by, okay? For children and adults alike, even though this was probably not meant for children in the first place. I just want to say this. Whoever compiled the soundtracks for all 4 movies, you, my friend, are a genius. We love you and we thank you. Like, how does it feel to know that you opened one of the greatest animated movies of all time with All Star by Smash Mouth? Pat yourself on the back. Each song that was selected for, you know, whichever scene, it fit perfectly. My dream side gig is to compile and score soundtracks for movies. And I think Shrek was what kind of, you know, formed that dream for me, fueled it. They just do what they have to do. They satisfy me. Bad Reputation, during the fight scene with all the knights. What? I want you to think about it. What other song, realistically, unironically, would fit in that scene? And placing Hallelujah over the 3rd act separation, give them all of the awards. Just give it to them. Top tier placement. My Beloved Monster, during the montage of Shrek and Fiona falling deeper in love, there couldn't be a better placement. Like, come on, go rewatch the scene. It fits like it's supposed to fit. And of course, choosing I'm a Believer to close out the story and, you know, give us the happily ever after that we sought after. Just timeless. This is probably super obvious, but I do feel like this song is strongly attaching to Shrek's POV. Don't believe me? Let's just read the lyrics, okay? Sorry. I thought love was only true in fairy tales, meant for someone else but not for me. Love was out to get me, that's the way it seemed. Disappointed haunted all my dreams. Come on, this is Shrek's POV, let's be for real. And then I saw her face, I'm a believer. But yeah, those are my thoughts and my analysis on the first movie. Moving on to Shrek 2. Same format, characters first. I won't spend too much time on Shrek. I feel like that's a lie. I feel like I'm gonna spend some time on Shrek. I won't spend too much time on him because I basically went over his character structure from the first movie. I'll just say this, and I will be making a point soon, so stay with me. Follow me, camera. There is a lack of yearning men in the media. Stay with me. Stay with me. I know. Shrek, he was yearning his ass off in this movie. Yearning his ass off in Shrek 2. The way that he was willing to give up everything for Fiona. The way that he was willing to permanently, all caps, permanently change his physical appearance for Fiona. That's a yearner if I've ever seen one. Yearners are earners, what they say. He loved that woman bad. Can't convince me otherwise. He loves his wife. And isn't that what we all deserve? And I want to comment again on how complex of a character Shrek is. There's something very human about Shrek's need for security that, you know, can only come from family. I also like that Shrek was a realist when it came to meeting Fiona's parents. He's like, listen, I know what people think about me. As soon as your parents see me, it's gonna be an issue. Like, they're not gonna like me, so why go? And I get it, because he wasn't wrong. And Shrek did have his flaws, especially when he got into it with Fiona's dad. They were both doing too much, okay? Point blank, period. And I'll say this honestly, during that argument, Shrek's daddy issues got the best of him. Let's talk about Fiona again. She just can't catch a break, can she? I tried to put myself in her shoes. Imagine seeing your family after years after they locked you in a tower, right? And you bring home your new husband, who they are expecting to be this charming, dashing prince. And it's not. Bringing your husband home to your conservative, traditional parents at that. I do respect that Fiona did not try to change or coach Shrek before going back home to far, far away. I also like that she stepped in when it came to correcting Shrek and her father because they were both out of line, so she did hold them accountable. And it's sad, you know, all she wanted to do was reunite and reconnect with her family, and they're just being judgmental. And this is why Fiona is such a good match for Shrek. Like, she's passionate, just as passionate as he is about her. Because just like Shrek was yearning for her to do anything for her, she was about to tread dangerous trails. She was about to go out in a thunderstorm to find her husband. But like many people do, Fiona had her flaws as well. Because what do you mean you didn't know that was Prince Charming pretending to be Shrek? Because if the potion didn't change your voice, why would it change his voice? And if the potion didn't change your personality, why would it only change Shrek's personality? And you grew up around these parts. Shouldn't you know how this works? Fiona, stop acting brand new. Rolling back again to Donkey, like I said, give that man the Best Supporting Character award. He truly gets better with every movie. Like, it's just a pleasure to see him on the screen. And I say that because Donkey, along with a lot of other characters, they managed to avoid Flanderization. In this series, this franchise spans like across almost a decade. So for them to evolve without becoming victims of the body snatcher trope, go watch that. It's a marvel. That is storytelling done right. And just a one-off, it's so funny to me that Donkey was not with Puss at all, jealous of him, and then that becomes his best friend too by the end of the movie. Now moving on to Harold and Lillian. Yeah, let's talk about the parents. Harold is the typical overprotective conservative dad. We've seen this, we've seen the movie. And I'm just gonna state the obvious. Harold is racist or speciesist. He's both. How about that? Now correct me if I'm wrong. When he was arguing with Shrek, didn't he refer to Shrek and his, you know, his people as your kind or something like that? Roll the footage.
Indeed. I just started eating.
Harold.
What's that supposed to mean?
Dad, it's great, okay?
Well, for his type, yes.
My type?
Now, I will say Lillian was more passive-aggressive, but let's not lie, she was a little racist too. Completely jumping to the other end of this conversation, I do think that the 180 that Harold did gave us a great redemption arc. And I want to say this, Harold, what is your problem? You have the nerve to be prejudiced towards Shrek and hurl stereotypes at him whole time. You're a slimy green frog? You spent the majority of the runtime projecting onto your son-in-law, knowing damn well that one point in your life you were green and gross too. Back to Lillian. While I say that she was passive-aggressive when she first met Shrek, because let's be honest, she kind of sort of was, you can see how she leaned into the acceptance of who her daughter has become and who she has chosen to marry. I think she was a lot more accepting of Shrek because at the end of the day, he rescued Fiona and brought her baby girl back home, and that's all she wanted. You can see how grateful she is. Harold, on the other hand, Puss in Boots. Having seen his origin story, I feel like he was so out of place in this franchise for some reason. And I get that this franchise is deeply rooted in fairy tale characters. I get that, because Puss in Boots is a fairy tale as well. But his movie compared to like the entirety of the Shrek franchise, it's a little dim. It's a little gritty. And I have not seen Puss in Boots Last Wish. I haven't seen that with, you know, Death literally chasing him. That's all I know of the movie. But even then, Puss in Boots, like the movie that came out that was about him and his origin story, criminal on the run. Like, hello? Hello? Because even upon first meeting him, he was intense. And that's because he's a bounty hunter and he was literally hired to kill Shrek. But anyway, and then you know what else? Puss coming into the mix made Donkey the voice of reason. Puss eventually gets it together. We see this, but at the beginning stages of him bonding with Shrek and Donkey, he wasn't up to speed yet with, you know, just doing things without thinking them through. So the message for this one is also very clear. Love someone for who they are. True love has no limits. It's unconditional. Potion be damned. This is, I would like to say, is the main theme, main message of the movie. But this message also branches out in some way to the other characters. It's more along the lines of accepting others for who they are. I found this video on TikTok by a user, what's her name? Unprepossessing _ aka Miss Jackson. She talked about the very progressive nature of how the Shrek universe views gender. She went on to talk about how the Shrek universe acknowledges characters like the Big Bad Wolf and the Ugly Stepsister, but they don't harp on who they are as creatures or people, and they don't make them the butt of a joke. We know about the Big Bad Wolf, he likes to wear dresses. We know about the Ugly Stepsister. And I couldn't agree more with her. No one really questions why the wolf wears women's clothes, other than the fairy godmother. But like everyone else, they're chill as about it, and I love that. Or the fact that they don't care about the Ugly Stepsister being gender fluid or transgender. I will say this, the Shrek universe is hell of a lot more accepting than the one that I'm in. And there's also some commentary on racism. Didn't notice it, don't see it, just look at how Prince Charming and Fairy Godmother treat Shrek, and how Harold treated Shrek. It's there, trust me. And one more thing, this isn't another message or symbolism, but I want to bring this up. I love how Shrek 2 integrated staples of pop culture into the movie, you know, during the time. I think it was 2004 when the movie came out. There's capitalism in the Shrek universe too. Let me list some examples. So we see that Far Far Away is the Shrek universe equivalent to Beverly Hills. We see that with the trees and, you know, stuff like that. Honey, Versace, come on. The Starbucks stores and how there were two right across the street from each other. The Sir Justin poster on Fiona's like ceiling. That was good foreshadowing, by the way, for the third movie. That was a little, I saw what they did there. The cop show the gang was watching back at Shrek and Fiona's house. And speaking of that part, I love how the pepper grinder, like the grounded pepper, was that universe's equivalent to pepper spray. Chef's kiss. And then you got Joan Rivers on the red carpet. Hello. I've always enjoyed that element of Shrek 2. The soundtrack for Shrek 2. I think that Shrek 2 is the most popular movie in the franchise from the soundtrack alone. I have yet to hear someone say that Shrek 2 isn't their favorite. That's just me personally speaking. Every time I ask someone, what's your favorite Shrek movie? They say it's the second one. From beginning to end, soundtrack was straight heat. This is where I discovered David Bowie at a very young age. And I do prefer Puss and Donkey's rendition of La Vida Loca over the original. No shade, Ricky Martin. Speaking of discovery, this was my first time hearing Imogen Heap, like ever. She has a very haunting and distinguishable voice. Love her. Same sentiments as before. Each song fits perfectly for whatever scene they were selected for. So alright, that was my analysis on Shrek 2. Moving on to the next one. We have Shrek the Third. I'm gonna say something controversial. This one's my favorite. Lower your pitchforks and torches, please. I love Shrek the Third the most, and I will stand by that. Let's talk about the characters again. Circling back to Shrek for this movie in particular, my dude is under some pressure in this movie. The pressure is getting worse. Like, imagine your father-in-law, who is king to a very large, huge kingdom, falls ill out of nowhere, and you have to step in and fulfill his duties temporarily, and then he drops dead. Not only are you grieving the loss of a father figure which you lacked most of your life, but your wife is grieving and you may have to fill in permanently, take his job like indefinitely, and you're not good at it at all. And on top of all of that, as if that wasn't enough, your wife is talking about let's have babies in this economy. I want to play devil's advocate here for a moment. I fully understand why Shrek jumped on that ship the first chance he got. I feel like he was gonna snap if he didn't get some sort of a respite, some sort of a break. And I know he felt bad for leaving Fiona after she told him that she was pregnant. Look at this man's reaction.
I said I'm pregnant!
What was that?
And it's at this point in the series where I realized Shrek's like character arc isn't singular. You're experiencing the arc grow and evolve across the entire franchise. Shrek is starting to recognize that is getting real. And as we've mentioned before, Shrek has daddy issues. His own father tried to eat him. Yeah, it's pretty normal for him to have fears of his own about fatherhood because he's like, babies? My daddy tried to eat me when I was a baby. Moving on to Fiona, Miss Fiona. I loved her in this movie. We really get to see Fiona tap into her maternal energy before she even gives birth. How amazing is that? Watching her take the lead with all of the princesses and the crew never fails to get a reaction out of me. Because like, yes, rally the troops, take control of the situation, do what you have to do, save yourself, save your friends, save your mama, save your baby. Like, yeah, take charge. I also like how Fiona wasn't, oh my gosh, my baby. When danger was afoot, she locked in and took care of business. She did that. Now let's talk about Artie, the cousin. You know, typical ungrateful, rebellious teenager. We've seen this before, yes. And when I was a kid, I could not stand him. I really couldn't. I was like, ugh, he's such a downer. Like, who want to be around that? In my mind, as a child, I'm thinking, this is the dumbest person alive. Because what do you mean you don't want to leave your lame ass high school and become a king who was adored by many? I would jump at that opportunity. That's what I was thinking, you know, as a child watching this movie. Now, as an adult, I totally understand why Artie was hesitant to kind of step into his new role as king. Imagine this. You're an unpopular teen who is getting bullied at school every day. And then here comes this big scary ogre, this talking donkey, and a sassy ass orange tabby trying to kidnap you, talking about you need to fulfill your duties as king. I would be a little tough to work with too. I think of Artie as a lesson, a test, and a mirror for Shrek. The lesson being Shrek needed the practice because the baby's on the way, and yes, teen years are far ahead of him, but he still needed the practice to dealing with the child. And you cannot say that Shrek didn't become some type of father figure for Artie by the end of this movie. You can see that connection happened. You know, Artie being the test, it was simply just a test of patience. I bet there's a test of patience every day for Shrek because he's best friends with a donkey. There is a test of patience that only a child can give you, and Artie was pushing the buttons, pushing the bounds at every turn. And Artie acting as a mirror, when he learned that Shrek also had daddy issues growing up, there was like an instant understanding. Like they connected on that level with each other. They related to one another. I could tell Shrek saw a lot of himself in Artie too. You know, being an outcast, feeling like he doesn't belong, mad at the world. That was Shrek at one point. We saw it in the first movie. And we also see that Artie had a lot of growing up to do, whether he was going to take the crown or not. These are all of the characters that I am going to highlight for this movie, so I'm done. I know some people are probably wanting me to like talk about the princesses. They're great. Love them. Hilarious. But that's all the characters I'm going to cover for Shrek the Third, okay? The message is family. Fam bam, famalama ding dong, okay? The movie really hones in on Shrek coming to terms with the fact that he's about to have a family of his own, and he's still trying to process and cope with his family trauma from his past, from his upbringing. His father tried to eat him. I understand why he thinks he'd be a father too. I understand. And coming coming in from Fiona's side of things, I think she's so eager and excited to start her own family because she really wasn't connected to her parents that much because she was locked away in a tower. And it's also pointing in the direction that sometimes it's a family you choose that, you know, allows you to be who you are and accepts you fully. Being that this is my favorite one in the franchise, I am shocked to say that the soundtrack wasn't as good as the first two. And there were some good needle drops in here. I'm not saying that the soundtrack was totally bad or something, but it just wasn't it wasn't like, you know, a perfect score for this soundtrack. Live and Let Die at Harold's funeral, excellent choice. Barracuda in that kick-ass rescue montage, what? That embodied the scene perfectly, captured all the vibes like it was supposed to. My favorite though would have to be 9 Crimes by Damien Rice in the third act where all hope seems to be lost. The tone of the song matched the scene impeccably. It was so good. Coming to the last movie in the franchise, we have Shrek Forever After. Alright, one last time, character analysis. Starting with Shrek again, let's be real. He was having a little bit of an identity crisis. I wonder if there were any parents who saw this and related to Shrek in some way. Missing your old life and who you were before you got married and have kids. You know, you feel like you're missing out or you feel like you're not cool anymore. That is a very real thing that people go through. Wait, can men get postpartum depression? If so, I think Shrek may have had that. While I can try to understand why Shrek is feeling the way he is feeling, he was being a little bit ungrateful. He does not understand truly how lucky he is. The life that Shrek has is the life that many people want and that many people are envious of. And Shrek, I get it. Parents need a break. Sometimes you just want to have a little bit of time to do your own thing, feel like your old self again. But trading a piece of your life to a sketchy, creepy little man to get that break, you're doing too much. No matter what universe they're in, he is still utterly head over heels in love with Fiona. Shrek has come a long way from who he was in the first movie. Shrek's development doesn't just start over in each movie, it just continuously, you know, evolves with each movie. He went from a society-hating, self-loathing introvert to a devoted husband and a loving father and a person of high regard in the kingdom of Far, Far Away. The growth of his emotional intelligence alone is something to take note of. I do feel in this movie the threat of his children no longer existing, looming over his head, made him go into another phase of maturity. Now on to Fiona. The main universe is great as always, you know, she's here, she's doing her thing. Still keeping Shrek in check. Still letting him know how ungrateful he is. Then there's the alternate universe, Fiona. Now, I will say this honestly, when I was a kid, when this movie first came out, I did not like this version of Fiona. Mainly because we lost the romantic element between her and Shrek. I get it, that's very stupid. I was a kid, ease up off me. But now, I understand her and I rock with alternate universe Fiona heavy. This woman, her right here, she is leading an entire community of ogres in a revolution against a tyrannical dictator to free her people. Fiona is that girl across all universes. Now let's talk about Rumpelstiltskin. To me, in my opinion, he is the best villain in the franchise. I love how the Shrek franchise showcased the Napoleon complex not once, but twice. First time being shown through Lord Quad. What makes Rumpel a good villain, you know, it's the fact that his appearance does not make him so. It's his mind games. That's scarier in my opinion. I mean, does he look like a creepier, older version of a Chucky? Absolutely. I also want to point out that he looked and sounded completely different in Shrek the Third. Here's him in Shrek the Third, and here's him in Shrek Forever After. I don't know if that was like an inconsistency, like a mistake, because they didn't think they were going to use that character ever again, but like, what is this? Now I want to speak on the ogre community. There's not one single ogre that I'm focusing on, just like the general population, like the whole population of them, right? Up until Shrek Forever After, Shrek and Fiona were the only ogres that we knew of. But this movie reveals an entire community, an entire race of ogres and the tree runs deep, okay? And given the circumstances, you know, with Rumple being at large, they are very courageous and close-knit. A complete, like, stark contrast from the singular presence of Shrek in the first movie. Now, being that he was considered an outsider at first because he was a stranger to the other ogres, they took in another brother. The part where they blew their song through their ears and Shrek was like, I didn't know we could do that. That will never fail to like make me tear up because oh my gosh, like that is such a beautiful thing for you to see. He's learning the culture. It's the song of your people. I don't know why, but this is what it felt like to me. That part alone felt like a black kid who grew up in suburbia experiencing their first day at an HBCU. I don't know why that connection has stuck with me, but that's what I think when I see that scene. The message of Shrek Forever After is real simple. Be careful what you wish for and do not take things for granted. The soundtrack for this one, I will say that this is an improvement from the soundtrack of Shrek the Third. Not to say that it was bad, it wasn't. I do, during the scene where Shrek and Fiona are like sparring and they're starting to reconnect. Oh my goodness. I don't think another song could capture that energy of longing and romance. I love that song so much, I'm playing it at my wedding. Sure shot by the Beastie Boys when the Pied Piper was messing with the witches. That was just good old tomfoolery, and that's such a good song for that scene. And I really do like the selection of Top of the World for Shrek's first day back as a regular ogre. The song does a great job of capturing, you know, Shrek's pure joy and giddiness as he's frolicking and being free and doing what he was, you know, doing before. But yeah, that's my thoughts on Shrek Forever After. So, closing the book. Yeah. The Shrek franchise has shaped my life in ways that I didn't even recognize. I know that may sound silly to some people because I'm talking about a cartoon, but as much as I love and appreciate, you know, movies, Shrek is always going to be on the list of media that is very dear to me. So being that this is a Shrek video, I know that there is an elephant in the room and I'm going to address it now. Shrek 5. You've probably seen it already, but there's been some discourse online about it. We have found ourselves in a Sonic the Hedgehog situation. Again. Millennials and Gen Z alike have bullied the studio into changing the art style because this is what it looked like before. I don't know what they're cooking up now, but this is what we were given, like for first look. And people were not pleased. And then to add insult to injury, people successfully predicted the entire plot from start to finish because it was super cliche. Like I had a feeling it was, you know, something along those lines of what people were predicting, but turns out it was the whole damn movie because now they pushed the release date back 2 or 3 years. And in my humble honest opinion, I don't think a 5th movie is needed. It's just another piece of media that Hollywood is using as a cash grab to profit off of our childhood and our nostalgia. Shout out to Friendly Space Ninja for his dissertation on that very subject matter. Go watch that. Shrek Forever After was a satisfying conclusion of a story that spanned across an entire decade. I think we're good. Let this franchise go down in history as one of the greatest of like animated films. Like let that happen. Let it be. We don't need this, especially not during these times that we're in. We don't need Shrek 5. But yeah, that was my, you know, love letter, I guess, to the Shrek franchise and going through like my little analysis and you know, thoughts, opinions, stuff like that. So yeah. So that concludes our video for today. If you enjoyed it, please leave a like. And if you made it to the end of this video, comment something green. Quick little update again. I know the last video I said I was going to do a Reading Rouge on the Burnout this video and then another special episode of Reading Rouge. Looks like I'm going to be posting Reading Rouges back to back because I'm still trying to get my notes together for both of those Reading Rouge episodes. So yeah, expect 2 Reading Rouge episodes back to back. Alright, I'm done rambling. That's my time. It was nice seeing you all. and subscribe if you want to. I'll see y'all on the next go round. Okay, bye.